No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like told me, keep on running, toes they gon' take them. Used to lose, built to win, applied myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win, applied myself.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back for another episode. And like I said, man, we in the off season, just like college football, college basketball. So I'm giving y'all one episode a week, just like I said, off season time. Off season for me, off season for them. But first, before I start, I like to ask that you leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps my channel, Carl Talking College, by way of the Refuse to Lose Network. Boom. Oh, wrong way. Refuse to Lose Network. We got other shows like The Man Show, who just went live at 7 o'clock. That's featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave. They just tackle sports topics in the sporting world. Tackle today the playoffs. They tackle Darvin Ham being fired. You got Dave's Doghouse, where it's the highlights and the lowlights of the sporting world. If you got a lot of highlights for the week, you'll be a dog. And if you got a lot of lowlights, you'll be in the doghouse. Jason Foley. All right, so then we move on to BWT, Baseball with Teddy. All your baseball content through the Refuse to Lose Network goes through him. Tigers and Yankees are going through a series right now. My Tigers blew the game tonight. Bottom of the ninth, up 1-0. Jason Foley gave up 4 hits. 3-4 hits. Absolutely did not get an out. And we lose 2-1 bottom of the ninth. So Teddy's up on me 1-0 right now. Then we have just went over that one. We got fantasy football with Coach Coombs, which currently is the off season for football. So he's currently just going over preseason talks. He went over the draft a little bit. He talked a little bit about free agency. So you got your NFL news through there. You got Joe Jordan's Kings Talk, which currently another off-season show because the Kings have been eliminated. I don't know if he's going to talk about the Kings, like what they look like pre-draft, who they looking at, stuff like that. Maybe some summer leagues talk. Stay tuned. He'll leave you updated there. We got RBO Vaughn, Real Ballers Only, featuring Vaughn. NBA channel, all your NBA news through there. He talks about the playoffs. His team is currently in a 7-game series after winning tonight against the Cavaliers. Last but certainly not least, we have In the Red Corner. That's a boxing show featuring Ty, Ricky, and Fast Camp, where we got a fight this weekend with Canelo. Pretty sure they're going to talk about it. Pretty sure they're going to talk about Ryan Garcia allegedly being popped for PEDs, things of that nature. Strictly boxing, though. So I like to ask that you leave a like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel as well as theirs. Go down the rabbit hole, and if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, I do have a special guest for the episode today, partly the reason why I'm here on Friday instead of Tuesday. But he did the first ever episode CTC with me. And if you remember, my first ever episode, we previewed the ACC. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my boy Ace. Ace, what it do, Ace?
My brother, thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure.
No problem, no problem. Like I said, man, first episode, we did it together to preview the ACC. It's only right that we review our picks and our previews for the ACC. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over records that we predicted. We're going to go over our championship game we predicted. You probably don't want to, but we're going to go over our player of the year that we predicted. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the ACC in general. So without further ado, hold on, I got to get to these comments real quick. Fire emojis. Appreciate that. And he did say while I was going on my little mini rant, my little sad rant about the Tigers, he said, you did say y'all would lose the first game. I did, but not in the fashion we lost it. I thought Reese Olsen might get punished, thought he might get smacked. He went no runs. We gave up 0 runs through through 8 innings. Was up 1-9, top of the ninth, bottom of the ninth. Just need 3 outs. Come on, Jason Foley. And you don't even get 1 out. You give up 2 runs, no outs, and we lose like that. So I thought, man, that was a perfect opportunity to steal a game in the series. I'm legit, like, still kind of mad about that, but I'll get over it. Joe says, what's good, Ace?
What's going on, Joe? It's been a long time, man. Glad to be back on.
And it seems like Joe remembers your ACC Player of the Year prediction. He says, man, LOL.
Hey, man, that was the fandom in me. You know, I had to give my boy some faith. I was definitely wrong, but, you know.
Being a Miami fan, it was a lot of ups and downs, but we'll get to that. But first, we have to start. Okay, I have to let y'all know. We're going in alphabetical order. We're not going in order by the standings. I will give you the standings at the end, my predicted standings, and then the actual standings. We're just going in order from school names. So first, we got Boston College. Boston College, I had Boston College finishing 4-8, 1-7 on the year. They actually finished 6-6. 3-5 on the year, so 2 more wins than I predicted in both the non-con and the regular. I think both their wins came actually from the conference. But either way, finished 6-6, 3-5, earned a trip to a bowl game where they beat the SMU Mustangs 23-14 in the Fenway Bowl. Now, I got 8 games predicted correctly. I had them beating Holy Cross. I had them losing to Florida State. That was a close one, actually. Had them losing to Louisville. Had them beating Army, had them beating Georgia Tech. I had them beating Virginia Tech. I had them losing to Virginia Tech. I had them losing to Pitt, and I had them losing to the U. So yeah, I had them 4-8. Ace, where did you have Boston College?
Yeah, I actually had Boston College pretty similar. I had them at 5-7. I want to say the only difference in ours was I think I had them. Oh, what did you say? What games you had them losing?
I had them losing to Florida State, Louisville. So I had them losing to Virginia, but they won. So that's why I didn't say it, because it wasn't right. I had them losing to UConn again. They actually won, so I got that wrong. I think
that's where we differed.
Yeah, I had them losing to UConn.
Yeah, that was the one where we differed at. But I mean, with Boston College, I mean, they got off to a horrible start. You know, I think they started off like 1-3 or something like that. Like it was pretty bad. And Castellanos, he found his stride. You know, the guy was running, throwing everywhere. They won 5 straight. Yeah, 5 straight. I was actually pretty impressed with Boston College. They played Florida State very tough. I remember when I said that red bandana game. I told you.
You definitely called it.
Over, you know,
definitely called that.
It's you know. They kind of finished where I expected them to be, but you know, I'm pretty impressed with them. I thought they had a pretty decent season.
Yeah, speaking of Thomas Castellanos, man, explosive at the quarterback position. He showed it. Him and Kyle Robichaux was just a dynamic duo in that backfield. Castellanos, man, him in the read option, crazy. Now, if he was a little bit better throwing the ball, he might have been more productive at Boston College, which is scary nonetheless. But man, he came out of nowhere, shocked folks, and had a great season under center for the Boston College Eagles. Again, we both did not predict them to go to a bowl game, so shout out to them for going to a bowl game and actually winning one. Definitely shout out to them. I'm looking forward to see what they do next year. As you know, we're going to preview them. If you would like to be on the show for that, we're going to preview them again next year. So can't wait for that. My final words to Boston College is great season, great job doing better than what y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all had. I'm pretty sure they had more wins than predicted by Vegas. Getting the bowl game there, just a great season for them. I know 6-6 for others might not be great, but for them, great season.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is I think their athletic director actually went to UCLA. So this next upcoming season is probably going to be very important for their coach because his job security may not be, may not be so solid. I mean, but yeah, I definitely like Boston College. They're always a fun team to watch, usually. And all I can say for Castellanos, just cut down on the picks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on to a team that I would say disappointed. We got Clemson. Clemson finished. Well, let me start where I predicted Clemson to finish 11-1, 7-1 in ACC play. They actually finished 8-4, 4-4 in ACC play. I had them beating Charleston Southern, beating FAU, losing to Florida State, which that game was crazy in itself. Mm-hmm. Beating Syracuse, beating Wake Forest, beating Notre Dame, beating Georgia Tech, beating UNC, and beating South Carolina. I had 9 games predicted correctly, 3 wrong. The 3 games I had them wrong was I thought they would be Duke, which what an opener that game was. Defense struggled. Duke really turned some heads that game. I think Duke put itself on the map that game. They let people know we are nothing to play with. Mm-hmm. I had them beating the U. They lost to the U in double OT. That was a barn burner. And then I had them beating NC State, which NC State did beat Clemson. So Clemson finished, like I said, 8-4. Earned them a trip to the Gator Bowl where they did beat Kentucky, 38-35. Clemson, in my opinion, their defense is always going to be there. Even with Brett Venables, he left to, I believe, Oklahoma. Yeah, he went to Oklahoma. Defense was still there. Offensively, Cade Klubnik to me just is not it. He wasn't it. I know a lot of people thought he might perform better that DJ Uiagalelei went to Oregon State. Now he doesn't have anybody breathing down his neck. I just didn't see it. It was games where Cade Klubnik did good, but overall, in my opinion, I just didn't see it. Will Shipley had a pretty decent year. Phil Maffa was a bruiser back that I liked in Clemson. I think Phil Maffa really did his thing. And I think that the other thing with Clemson was the receiver talent wasn't all that great either. Mm-hmm. So that kind of really did not help Cade Klubnik, but talk about Clemson.
Yeah, the receiver talent which was something that we mentioned from the jump. We were always saying, they had this 6-7 year run of just having all this great first round talent at receiver, and then it just fell off for some reason. Now, I do agree with you about Cade Klubnik, whatever his name is. But when you look at his stats aren't egregious. It's just in game. I don't know if it's because of him. I don't know if it was the talent around him, or maybe just Clemson just isn't what they used to be. But I don't know whether it was just a down year or their time has passed.
See, I think even though they went 9-3 year prior, and was that the year they went 9-3? I think they went 9-3, something like that. No. 9-3 is when they beat Iowa State in the bowl game, right? They went 11-2 the year prior, and in the ACC, they won the ACC championship, and they beat Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. That was last year.
They went 11-2.
I don't know. Offensively, it still didn't look great. Even with DJ Uiagalelei, it didn't look great. It looked like the defense was just carrying them.
I'll say this: when Klubnik was in there, the passing game looked like more of an option versus when DJ was in there. I think the difference was I don't think Will Shipley kind of had the year that we thought he would have.
I agree.
And I'm not having that kind of year because if you know about Will Shipley, he's a dog, and you would think that he would be in the conversation is the best backs in the nation, in the country. Yeah. But he wasn't really in that. He started off with a bang. He had 114 yards against Duke, but after that, his next 100-yard game wasn't until they played North Carolina, and that's at the end of the season.
Didn't he fumble in that Duke game too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The goal line was fumble too.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think Will Shipley had the year we all thought he would have. I'm in total agreement with you. I don't even know if people were to say, if you just look at last year, I don't even know if people were to say he was the best back in the ACC with Marion Hampton, with bro from Florida State, Trey Benson.
Oh yeah,
those guys. Yeah, I don't know if now we know Will Shipley is capable of being up there with them.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely a guy who can anything you ask of him. He can block, he can catch, he can run.
He returns. He returned kicks before getting on the field.
Yeah.
But if we're talking just last year, I don't know if I would put him up there as one of the best backs in the ACC. So I do agree with you there. Clemson now 8-4. I think Cade Klubnik is the projected starter again in the upcoming season. So good luck there. Hopefully, y'all can get some better receivers for him. Hopefully, y'all can figure it out because, yeah, it didn't look great. I don't know where we go from here. So, any last words on Clemson?
I hope Dabo can pull it together. That's all I got for him. Well, I hope, but then I also don't. So
Yeah, I'm about to say being a Miami fan. Let people see why you don't.
Yeah, I'm about to say it can go either way. I'd rather it go down.
Me too, because South Carolina needs to get some W's in this rivalry game at the end of the year. We're going to move on, though, to a team that took a hit, started off really good, beating Clemson, as we just discussed, but then Riley Leonard goes down in the Notre Dame game, I think. Was it the end of the Notre Dame game?
I want to say it was.
Yeah, he goes down. They have to turn to Grayson Loftus. He's clearly not Riley Leonard. He's not the leader that Riley Leonard is. Riley Leonard is not going to kill you with his arm, but his legs give him a whole nother dynamic. He's not going to go down off the first tackle. And like I said, his leadership is out of this world. He goes down, but I had Duke finishing 7-5, 4-4. They finished 7-5 and 4-4. So my first correct prediction, not perfect because I didn't get all the wins and losses right, but I will take 7-5, 4-4 and predicting that. So I had them losing to Clemson, which we just discussed. They won a big game at home against Clemson. Had them beating Lafayette, which they did. Had them beating Northwestern, which they did, which, by the way, sneak preview, Northwestern had a way better season than we all thought. Beating UConn. I had them losing to Notre Dame, beating North Carolina State, losing to Florida State. Now, I had them beating Louisville, which they lost. I had them beating Wake Forest, which they won. Losing to North Carolina, which they did. I had them beating Virginia, which they lost. And I had them losing to Pitt, which they won. I had 8 games predicted correctly. Duke went on to win 17-10 in the Birmingham Bowl against Troy. My little soliloquy or my little notes about Duke was defensively. Oh, my God. Duke came out of nowhere. Just great defensively, led by Al Blaze, the third, I believe, I want to say.
Yeah.
The transfer from Miami, their defense was just stacked, loaded, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it was
really good defense. It was the backbone of their team. Run game. I can't even remember the running back's name right now, but he was a dog. Was it Jordan Waters?
Yeah, Waters.
Yeah, Jordan Waters, absolute dog at running back. Riley Leonard, like I said, his leadership, his ability to run and throw the ball. Not the greatest passer, but can get it done.
They actually had another guy too.
I know
Moore.
Jaquez Moore, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and Google that while you go. But go ahead and talk about Duke.
Yeah, Jaquez Moore, 600 yards in the season. But yeah, like you were saying, Duke definitely led by their defense. It was a very stout defense. I mean, they held Clemson to just 7 points. Notre Dame to 21 points. I mean, they were such a surprise, and I was so surprised by how Riley Leonard really got that team to rally around him. So it was really sad to see him go down, especially since we didn't have to play them at all. That North Carolina game, it was a doozy. I think that was like double overtime or something like that. It was like Duke was really a good team. I'm interested. I know we're not talking about next season, but I'm very interested to see what happens with them next season, especially with the transfer from Texas playing at quarterback. I don't know if he's projected to be the starter, but I know that'd be a pretty good quarterback battle. But Murphy. But yeah, Riley Leonard was a dog until he got hurt. But as far as the predictions go, I think this is one of the ones that we were on the same page about pretty much. So I think I had them going 7-5 as well. 3-5 in conference play, and they went 7-5, 4-4.
Yeah, it is Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy is now at Duke, who was the backup to Quinn Ewers, who actually got some playing time when Quinn Ewers went down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he is projected to start because if you remember, Riley Leonard is now at Notre Dame, which sucks. Yeah. I like Riley Leonard. Now I can't like Riley Leonard. I don't like Notre Dame, so it sucks. But
Sam Hartman.
Man, I was about to say, when they keep taking all these ACC quarterbacks playing all these ACC teams, but won't join the ACC. Like, just join the ACC already,
right? Just join. It'll only help everybody at this point.
They had to like make a whole nother like special playoff rule for Notre Dame because they're not in the conference. Like, bro, just join. Why are we even doing this? Tell them to join or deal with it.
Yeah, at what point is tradition an inconvenience? You know what I mean? It's like we get it. They've never been a part of any conference. Who cares at this point?
I don't. Look at the Big Ten. We got like 16 teams, bro.
Dude, when is the last time Notre Dame has won anything worth winning?
They went to the first round of playoffs a couple years ago and got stomped by Bama when Najee Harris hurdled somebody.
Yeah, and last thing I remember, Florida State whooped them in the. Well, they ain't whoop them in the national championship. But that's the last time they were in.
Oh, that was Bama. That was Bama again.
Oh, that was Bama.
Mateo.
No, after that, with Jameis Winston and them, they played.
That was Auburn.
No, that was Auburn. Yeah, but the year after, no, all right, it wasn't a national championship then, I guess.
Yeah, that was Auburn.
I remember they played them for sure.
I don't know what game you're talking about specifically, but I know the national championship game with Florida State. That was
that was
Auburn with Nick Marshall.
That was definitely Auburn. I think it was the year after that. They played them in like Sugar Bowl or something. Well, maybe not Sugar Bowl, but whatever.
But the point still remains, bro. Join a conference or deal with it. Like, we're tired of this. Like, bro, you're gonna play a 6-game out of 12-game ACC schedule, but not
1,000%.
Just join. But we digress. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Duke is next year. They lost what's his face too, the coach, Elko.
Oh yeah, Elko. Yeah.
They lost Elko. I forgot who replaced them. I'm not
100% sure.
I forgot. But was it no. I forgot. Either way, Elko's gone. He built a great program tradition there for the two years he was there. Riley Leonard's gone. He's in Notre Dame. So it's interesting to see what Duke could look like next year. Obviously, later on in the months, we will preview it. So, yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
It's Manny Diaz.
That's right.
It's Manny Diaz. I did not know that.
Wow. I don't know how this is going to go. I forgot about that. He left from Penn State and went to Duke.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I did not know that. That is very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting indeed because Manny did not do so hot at Miami. So it's going to be.
I mean, look, he had his moments.
Couldn't recruit. That was the whole thing about it, though. They were saying he couldn't recruit up to the standard.
Yeah, we recruit way better now. We're not talking about us. Let's just.
So it's going to be interesting. But moving on, gotta talk about Florida State. I ain't got no sound effects for you. I ain't want to do you like that. But Florida State, ACC champs. I had Florida State going 12-0, 8-0 in conference play. Florida State went 12-0, 8-0 in conference play, giving me my first perfect prediction of the year. Second prediction correct. Obviously, if I had won 12-0, I got 12 games right. They won the ACC championship. I did have them winning the ACC championship as well, but I had them playing Clemson in that. They actually beat Louisville in that with Jordan Travis going down. They won 16-6. I forgot who won ACC player of the championship game, like the MVP. I think it was Trey Benson, but I thought it should have been Braden Fisk, but that's neither here nor there. They then lose the Orange Bowl 63-3 to Georgia. Nobody played. So do what you will with that.
Yeah, you can't hold
Nobody
that.
played. Even Keon Coleman said it on RG3 podcast. He was like, if we felt like we were banged up, but we had a chance in the playoffs, we'd have rested and we'd have been ready to go. But since we playing a meaningless bowl, what are we playing for? Like, everybody just decided it's not worth it. It don't mean nothing. We should be in the playoffs, so they didn't care about it. But y'all know who I'm going to talk about at Florida State. I've been talking about him since that preseason. Keon Coleman was a dog, and he started out the year with 3 touchdowns against one of the best teams, not defensively, in the country in LSU. LSU had a terrible defense. Don't get me wrong, but he still put up 3 tuds and over 100 yards. And he was key in that game. He had a key touchdown in the Clemson game to tie it, I believe. Keon Coleman was just go-to. Johnny Wilson, I will say, looked better at receiver this year than years prior. Still had some hands problems, but he looked better. Trey Benson was absolutely insane this year, a speedy back. I think his power is kind of underrated. I love the Trey Benson move. I love the Jaheim Bell at tight end. And Florida State defense was just as nasty as we thought it would be with Ronaldo Green. Ventrell Cypress had his moments. I don't think he played as good as everybody thought he would, being as highly coveted as he was coming out of Virginia. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, you had that D-line of Jared Verse and Brady Fisk. You had Bethune at linebacker. You had Ronaldo Green at the other corner. You had so many guys at that Florida State defense. It was a really good defense. Ace, talk about Florida State.
Yeah, I think it's very funny that you brought up Ventrell Cypress, because I was kind of disappointed in the season that he had. No picks. I mean, come on, you were covered as that guy when they got him in the transfer portal, And I mean, I'm not trying to dunk on him or nothing, but I was definitely expecting a lot more. Jaheim Bell, he was by far my favorite pick that they got out of the transfer portal last year. He was going to have like a really great season. Obviously, he had some good games, but I thought he would probably be like utilized a bit more, maybe. Johnny Wilson, to be honest, never been a big fan. I've always thought he was a big body guy, but as far as like technicalities and stuff, he doesn't run great routes, has questionable hands. It's like, and even when you throw it up to him, it's kind of like, it's not the 50-50 ball that you would think with that kind of guy and that physicality, Keon Coleman, can't say it enough. A stud. I'm glad he's gone. Trey Benson, dog. Jordan Travis, dog. I mean, what can you say about Florida State? They had pretty much the season that we thought they would. They were as advertised until Jordan Travis went down. That bowl game, that's out of their control at that point, All I can say is I just hope they don't have a season like that next year.
All right, cool. To add on to that, first of all, I feel so disrespectful. I was so high on Georgia Travis. How did I not talk about Georgia Travis in my little notes about Florida State? Absolute dog. But he went down in the Northern Alabama game, which sucks because that game was going to be a blowout either way. But he obviously has to start it because you have to treat it like a regular opponent. And he goes down. And it basically was the reason why they missed the playoffs, because the committee didn't think that they'll be good with a third-string quarterback, even though we've seen a third-string quarterback win a national championship, but that's neither here nor there. I also wanted to talk about Mike Norvell. Just 2 years ago, Florida State wanted him gone. It was a lot of rumblings like Mike Norvell's not the guy we thought he was. Get him out of here. People were like looking at boosters that like for the buyout. And now look, ACC champ, went undefeated. And he's on top of the world. It's crazy how sports works. If you work off impulse, you don't get this because he gets fired. He doesn't bring Keon Coleman in. He doesn't bring in the transfers he bring in. You don't get the success you just got. Who knows who is the Florida State coach, and who knows how good or bad they do. So for all those guys that just act off impulse 1 year, 2 years, don't go as good as you think it is, just relax and let it work itself out. Now, by year 4, year 5, if you're like, all right, it's not working out, that's cool. You gave it time. But 1 or 2 years, bro, like relax. You got to give your coach a chance to change. It's going to have to take a lot of change and turnover for things to go the way you want, especially at the expectation of a Florida State. If you, like, for example, if you're a team that was bottom of the barrel, not saying Florida State was, but they weren't great. But if you're bottom of the barrel, it's not going to take a year of changeover to change that. No, you have to work at it. You got to bring your guys in. You got to coach them up. You got to have them ready. He's not taking over an Ohio State who had guys, who had dogs. No, he's taking over Florida State, who was not that great at the time. And now look, so just my little thing about Mike Norvell, who I believe won ACC Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. But yeah, to piggyback off what you're saying, I definitely agree with that. I did see a lot of that stuff on Twitter. People saying they want Norvell gone. I mean, but it's like, what do you want from a guy? You guys were like, 5-7 a year before, then he brings you to 9-3, and you want him to leave? It's like, bro, this is why I don't like Florida State fans that much.
This is not the why. This is not the reason why, but continue.
It's part of it. Anyway, it's like, bro, like, yes, you have to let things play out in college. It's like, people don't even really understand, like, coaches don't even have their actual roster that they want the players they picked until year 3, So it's like you have to give, it sounds crazy, but it's like you have to give somebody a 4-year trial period to even really see who they're going to be, what they want to be. Everybody wants the instant results now, and it's just, I mean, I get it, blame cell phones for that, but that's just not how the college game works. And I guess maybe it is starting to lean more towards that way with the transfer portal and everything. But even still, man, you still got to get these guys in there and make sure that they're committed and buying into the program and all that stuff. Things like that take time, man. It's no way that it's just going to be a snap your fingers and we're winning the championship,
I'm glad you touched on that because I was about to say, like, around the time people wanted Norvell fired, the transfer portal and NIL wasn't really a thing yet. I think the NIL just became a thing like 3 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. It was,
and then the transfer portal wasn't even like a big thing.
Yeah, like DJ Ungalale's second year with Clemson, I think was the first year NIL took off. I remember Spencer Rattler's year at Oklahoma, which was Caleb Williams' freshman year. That's when he had the Raising Cane's deal, and Ungalale, I think, had T-Mobile or something like that. So that was like 02, not 02, that was like 22, 21. So, like, I know now things, like you said, things might be a little different with the transfer portal. You might be able to get in a bunch of guys that meet your philosophy that's already been in college ball. So you don't have to coach them up for the game. They know the game, that you just got to coach them to get adjusted to your system. But still, like, you can't just get rid of a guy after 1-2 years. Like, I'll give you another example. Jimbo Fisher. I feel like he was rightfully let go because he's the offensive minded. Texas A&M offense just never was it. It wasn't. So, okay, you want to call the plays. The offense isn't panning out. We're going to go in another direction. I mean, Iowa even tried to hold on, even though he was the coach's son. Their OC, I think, Brian Frentz, they had a stipulation that he had to average 25 points per game. They knew damn well he wasn't going to do that. So they essentially fired him the year before. But they was like, all right, we'll give you a chance, but your offense got to average 25 points per game. You're in Iowa. It's not happening. So he got fired. So, but yeah, say that to say, just thank yourselves, Florida State, that they didn't act off your impulsive thoughts.
Right. And I'm sorry, but one more thing. I don't know if you saw this, but I think they're proposing something where that between the NIL and bowl games or something like that where people can't sit out.
Yeah, so it's not finalized, but I did see it. So, yeah, they're trying to limit this amount of opt-outs.
So that's also something to keep your eye out on. So hopefully we don't get any other 60-3 games in the Orange Bowl.
I'm not going to lie, like, I know this is kind of a tangent, but sometimes I'm not mad at opt-outs for the draft because it gives your coach the opportunity to look at guys for next year. It's like a spring game, but a serious spring game. Like, for example, what's his name at SC? Moss, the quarterback who lit up Louisville in the bowl game. He threw like 5 touchdowns. That's a great look for a guy that's going to be there next year. Or who else am I trying to think about? I can't think of his name, but he was at North Carolina. He looked pretty decent in the bowl game against West Virginia. So things like that, I'm not too mad at. Now, I would love to see more players play because obviously it's a better game that way. But I'm also not mad at live spring games or live looks for next year. So kind of torn.
Right. But my thing is, it's like, okay, I definitely understand like top 10 picks, first rounders, second rounders, those guys sitting out. But it's like, I mean, like, not to pick on him, but Jaheim Bell, he didn't go to the last round. He could have played in that game. Definitely. You know what I mean? And it's not like these guys know where they're going to go because nobody knows. All I'm trying to say is maybe playing that game will help you draft stock.
It definitely can. It definitely can for sure. All right, gotta move on from Florida State. I know Ace is ready to do that. We gotta move on to Georgia Tech. Brent Key's first official year, because he was the interim coach like towards the end of the year last year at Georgia Tech. They went 5-7 the year prior, 4-4. I had Georgia Tech finishing at 3-9, 1-7. Had them losing to Louisville, which was right, winning against South Carolina State, losing to Ole Miss, losing to Wake Forest, which they actually won. I had them beating Bowling Green, which they actually lost. Had them beating the U. No, I had them losing to the U, which they actually won. And we'll talk about that game. Sorry, we have to. Had them losing to Boston College, which they did. Had them losing to North Carolina, which they won, ran all over them. I had them beating UVA, which they did. I had them losing to Clemson. I had them losing to Syracuse, which they won. And obviously had them losing to Georgia. Georgia Tech actually finished 6-6, 5-3 in the ACC. Haynes King, he was up and down. I don't want to say he looked bad because he didn't. He had some high highs, but he definitely had some low lows. We got to talk about the game against the U. Miami had the game. All you have to do is kneel it out. They actually run a play. The running back fumbles. I can't even remember who was at back at the time.
It was Donald Chaney.
Donald Chaney, okay. Donald Chaney fumbles the ball. Georgia Tech recovers and scores a bomb of a touchdown to actually win it, ruining my Miami prediction, but we'll get into that later. North Carolina, Drake May was actually carving them up, but North Carolina defense is trash, and they could not stop the run. And Georgia Tech ran through North Carolina for a W. I think this was a pretty good first season under Brent Key. I think again that was a great move by them, making him from interim to official head coach. I wanted to see it happen. I'm glad it happened. I think Brent Key is having this program on the right track. Hopefully, he can navigate through transfer and NIL to keep teams together, and hopefully, maybe one day have Georgia Tech around the 2013 year when they went to the ACC championship and lost to Florida State. Maybe we could get a Georgia Tech ACC championship game appearance. It's going to be tough. It really is. With excuse me, I'm thinking of the SEC. It's going to be tough. Yeah, yes, y'all are on the rise. I will give you that. Y'all on the rise. We're going to see what Clemson looks like. We're going to see what Florida State looks like. But I do love what Brent Key has going on with Georgia Tech. Talk to me about Georgia Tech, Ace.
I agree with you. I think Brent Key is a great coach for them, and we saw even at the end of the season before last, they really rallied behind him and they started playing very hard. And they did this very same thing this year. You know what you were spot on about? That Bowling Green game. You said Bowling Green was going to play them tough. You said they were going to hang around. I did not expect them to beat them, but you were absolutely right. Those MAC teams, like we were saying, they're tough teams. They're gritty teams. You can never sleepwalk against them. Yep. Haynes King, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. You know what I mean? He does make mistakes. He makes mistakes. 16 picks is kind of unforgivable.
That's what I say. He has some high highs, some low lows.
16 picks is unforgivable, but I do think he has a pretty decent ceiling. Especially for the guy, just for who he is and where he's been. It's like, you can look at him and you can still throw him out there and think that he may be, the best person on that roster that gives them the best chance to win. Who else is there? I don't know what other.
That's why I did that, because you don't want him to be the best player on your roster. Obviously, you don't. Sure. 16 picks, like you said, bro. And I'm not saying he's trash.
Quarterback.
And I don't want to say he's trash, because I don't think he's trash. You can see some semblance of talent, but
he tries too hard sometimes.
Yeah,
sure.
That's what I say. He got some high highs but some low lows.
Yeah. The brother had a 60% completion rate. It's decent. It's decent. He's
receptions is completions.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm not even going that way. But like I said, they're always the team that's going to play hard. They even played Georgia hard. They did. Granted, it's a rivalry game, but they didn't get whooped. They lost by 7 points.
Yeah, I was about to say lost by touchdown, right?
Yeah. Just literally one touchdown or 8 points. The Boston College game, didn't really see that coming, but that was what it was. Of course, they were going to lose to Ole Miss.
I saw it.
Louisville, I don't know if I had them beating or losing again. I think I had them beating Louisville maybe, but I'm not 100% sure. I probably had them losing because I had them at 4-8.
I don't even know if I talked about where I had them and where they finished. I had them 3-9, 1-7, and then finished 6-6, 3-3.
Yeah.
I definitely had them losing to Louisville, and it was just and that game was actually really close. They ran off 28 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was 39-34.
Yeah, that game, Louisville had to
and King put up 300 yards.
Yeah, Louisville fumbled late in the game, which helped turn the game around. But like I said, that second quarter, Georgia Tech went on a run. And it's just Georgia Tech wasn't able to sustain it in the second half, and Louisville came back and won the game. But they were able to sustain that.
And they beat UCF in the bowl game, who's not a slouch.
The Gasparilla Bowl, 30-17 versus UCF. And I want to say UCF played their players, too.
Yeah, I believe they did.
Yeah, I want to say they played their players. So, Yeah, shout out Georgia Tech. Shout out Brent Key. Got a bowl game W. His first full year as a head coach. 7-6 overall, but I'm doing only regular season because we obviously can't predict bowl games like who they playing and stuff like that. 6-6, 3-3. Like I said, man, I hope he could just keep it together with this transfer portal NIL. Hopefully, he can keep putting out a competitive product, and maybe, like I said, one year we get a super good Georgia Tech team. I think that'd be really good for the ACC. I would enjoy to see it. I know other teams. I know you probably wouldn't enjoy to see it because you have a team in the ACC, so I understand.
I mean, yeah, but I also do like when the ACC is a competitive conference. I hate that ACC is viewed as like one of the least talented Power 5 conferences.
Guilty.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I understand why people feel that way because when you really look at it on paper, we kind of are. You know what I mean? We have a lot of very mediocre teams, and then the teams at the top is usually just either Clemson, Florida State, or whoever, and then everybody else kind of in the middle.
Normally Clemson. Usually
Clemson, in the past Florida State, and everybody else shuffles. Like we've never really been a factor in the ACC like that. We had that one good year that got demolished in the ACC championship. Neither here nor there. I say that to say I like when everybody's good.
Yeah,
but I want us to be better.
I do want to see the ACC competitive again because it is kind of sad. Like I normally just be like, ACC is the worst Power 5 conference in the country.
Yeah,
I know somebody
only having like 5 people in the top 25 at best.
Yeah. My uncle actually knows somebody who thought ACC was the second best conference in the country. I thought he was absolutely insane. If I had saw him, I'd have probably just laughed at him. But
yeah,
I think he's a Miami fan in Miami, so I can't really get too. I can still be mad at him, bro. You can rap Miami and be real about your.
I can't be mad.
But moving on to Noah team, man. Look, I ain't gonna lie, Ace. When we did that ACC preview, Joe broke up our videos, right? And obviously, the Louisville got his own video, just like every other school in the ACC. And there was a guy,
Except Virginia, they didn't deserve one.
Oh, they didn't get one for real?
No, I think there's no, it's Syracuse, I think.
Oh dang, I never even peeped that. And I used to go back and watch them look for the comments faithfully too. So that's a good eye by you. But man, it was a guy in Louisville joint in the comments like, man, you're gonna regret it. Louisville gonna be really good. This is one of the we got Jeff Brom. He's back at his alumni. He's going, and I'm like, man, look, I think I could go 6-6, 8-4 at best, but really, I don't know about that. And I was wrong. So shout out to you. I don't remember your name, but shout out to you, bro. You definitely was right. I'm not one of them guys where I'm like, well, this is my show. I'm right. Shout out to you. Y'all, Louisville went 10-2, excuse me. Went to the ACC championship and lost to Florida State, which I was happy about, not because of you, bro, but because I wanted Florida State to have a chance to go to the playoffs. This isn't spite. But Louisville went 7-5 a year prior, 4-4. That was under Malik Cunningham, who obviously left. Another reason why I didn't really have a lot of faith in Louisville is because I didn't really believe in Jack Plummer like that. And again, like Haynes King, he had some high highs, but he had some low lows. He too was prone to turning the ball. You remember in like the chat we got for gambling, I'd be like, yeah, Jack Plummer is due for a turnover a game. And
yeah, I do remember that actually.
It's the same thing with Jack Plummer, bro. He was due for a turnover a game. If you left a game like unscathed, you were shocked. But you do have guys like Jawad Jordan, who was due for an explosive run every game. He was due for a 20-plus yard run every game. Jawad Jordan was super explosive. Isaac Garendo was a great change of pace back. Jamari Thrash was a great receiver for them. You had Amari Huggins, Bruce. Louisville was actually turned out to be pretty loaded on offense, pretty decent defense. I think the defense is kind of up and down. They'll have games where they look really good, and then they'll have games where they look like they can't stop anybody. The game they looked really good in was Notre Dame. Looked really good against Notre Dame. Looked really good against NC State. Almost single-handedly won them that game. I mean, they won the game, but then they had some games where they gave up a lot. Like they almost gave up the game against Indiana. Indiana almost came back and won that game. But I gotta go over the schedule. I had Louisville finishing 6-6, 4-4. I had them beating Georgia Tech, which we just discussed. I had them beating Murray State. They ran through them. I had them beating Indiana. I had them beating Boston College. I had them losing to NC State. We just discussed. Had them losing to Notre Dame. Again, we just discussed. They won that game, both of those games. So they started off 6-0. Then they lose to Pitt, which was crazy.
Crazy.
They lose to Duke. I mean, they beat Duke, excuse me. I think Riley Leonard did not play that game. They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Virginia, who I both had them beating. I had them losing to Miami, which they won that game. That game was close. Was it Isaac Garendo or Jawar Jordan that broke that long run? Oh, no, maybe that might have been y'all with Donald Chaney who broke a long run.
I can't remember the turn of
events. There was a bunch of explosive plays in that game. I remember that.
I remember our secondary being a very bad liability in that game. And I think it was not far after the Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, I remember both teams just kept hitting some explosive plays. Like, bro, it was crazy. But yeah, I had them losing to y'all. They beat y'all. And I had them losing to Kentucky, which they did. They finished, like I said, finished 10-2, 7-1 in ACC play. Lost the ACC championship 16-6, and then lost the Holiday Bowl to aforementioned SC, where the quarterback went crazy. 42-28. I predicted 8 games correctly, 4 games incorrectly. Talked a bit about LSU already, Louisville already. So talk to me about Louisville.
Yeah, I think I had Louisville going 7-5, 5-3 in conference play. Obviously, we were a bit off on that. I do remember us saying that they will go as Jake Plummer went, but I did not expect him to really have the kind of season that he had. I mean, he was pretty good, man. I mean, he made the plays when they needed to be made. You know, him and Thrash, they had a very nice connection going. Like you said, that defense was pretty good. The Notre Dame game obviously impressed people and made people like raise their eyebrows a bit. But I still think that, like, you know, at least speaking for me, I wasn't really convinced about them until maybe halfway towards the end of the season. You know, I thought that they were just waiting. It was going to be another Pitt situation. You know, I thought they already lost that, and it was just another one waiting. Like maybe Virginia or Virginia Tech could get them or something, or at least I was confident we would get them. And you know, we didn't. But kudos to Louisville on that season that they had, because it was very, very unexpected. And I think if you weren't a Louisville fan, you didn't expect that. But I don't see that happening again.
They also, who was the guy? I can't remember his name. I think it was a receiver turned tight end. I keep thinking Marshawn Lloyd, but it wasn't Marshawn Lloyd. Was it? No, because Marshawn Lloyd is the running back for SC, correct?
I believe so. I'm not too sure who you're talking about, though.
I can't remember his name, bro, but he was a converted tight end for Louisville. And I don't know. I just did not see it from Louisville at all. Again, losing Cunningham. They lost some key pieces on the defense, but they were able to bounce back against this thing. Interested to see how that goes going forward. I want to say Jack Plummer's coming back, ain't he?
No, he got drafted, actually.
He did?
Yeah, I don't know if he got drafted, but I know the Panthers picked him up.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure. Yeah, Jack Plummer. I'm looking it up now. See, I just want to see where he went. Yep, he's on the Panthers. So good call there. I'm interested to see who's the next quarterback at Louisville under Brom, because you know Brom was the last head coach at Purdue, and he had Aiden O'Connell. So just want to see where he goes in that direction. Aiden O'Connell also was interception prone, so it seems like he finds his interception prone quarterback who can somehow.
I think that's the thing we were talking about. We were talking about how O'Connell that year at Purdue, he just looked so good. We were like, man, maybe he could do the same thing with him, and if he does that, then they can have success. And that's what happened.
And funny enough, Jack Plummer did play at Purdue for 3 years. I forgot that was the main point of contention. He did play with Jeff Brom at Purdue, and then he brought him over to Louisville. I forgot that was the main point of contention. So, but yeah, he had 12 picks at Louisville. Not ideal. But yeah, shout out to Louisville nonetheless. Again, great season. We got to move on. Ace, you're up next, buddy. Miami University went 5-7 the year prior, 3-5 in ACC play. This was Mario Cristobal's second year. Tyler Van Dyke was the starter. I had y'all going 8-4. 5-3. You finished 7-5. 3-5 in conference, which is not good. I had y'all beating Miami of Ohio, which y'all dog walked them. I can't remember his name. Was it Brett? I think it was Brett Gabbert who said we're the real Miami, and then they got stomped.
Oh yeah. The quarterback in the
it was Brett Gabbert. Then I had y'all losing to Texas A&M, which I actually won that game. So that was a big shout out to y'all there for beating Texas A&M.
Convincingly at that.
Yeah, that y'all beating Bethune-Cookman. Obviously, y'all smoked them. I had y'all beating Temple. You won that game. You started off 4-0. Looked really good. Then I had y'all beating Georgia Tech, which you lost. I had y'all losing to UNC, which that was actually a good game too. Y'all lost that one.
Turnovers.
Yup. And Drake May had a game against y'all. I had y'all losing.
He almost put up $4 on us.
Yeah, I had y'all losing to Clemson, which I beat Clemson. I had y'all beating Virginia, which I won that one. I had y'all beating North Carolina State, which you lost. Had y'all losing to Florida State. I had y'all beating Louisville, which you lost. Had y'all beating Boston College. Again, having y'all finished 7-5, 3-5, but you lost the Pinstripe Bowl to Rutgers, and Cal Monongaur kind of ran crazy against y'all, 31-24. I predicted 7 games right for y'all, 5 wrong for y'all. Looking like y'all record, y'all finished 7-5. I was 7-5. So, Tyler Van Dyke absolutely, like you said, stunk. He did not look good. Then y'all also lose Garcia. Didn't he jump in the transfer portal?
Yeah, Garcia jumped in the transfer portal. Tyler Van Dyke jumped in the transfer portal. Our quarterback who actually played in the bowl game, who was our only eligible. Yeah, he's gone. I think he went to UCF, if I'm not mistaken. We've lost a lot of our quarterback room, but I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not even worried about it. Yeah, we got Cam Ward. We also got this guy from Albany. I can't remember his name, right? Reese.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't remember his name either, but he went first.
He led the FCS in passing. I don't know if it's passing yards or whatever the case was.
He committed first, and then Cam Ward committed.
Yeah, but our whole season started going downhill after that Georgia Tech loss. Yeah, Mario definitely lost a lot of people on in that game. However, I think the only silver lining in that is that the people that he lost weren't the people that he recruited necessarily.
Y'all lost. I don't know if he recruited him, but Jacoby George, right?
Yes, Jacoby George. Yeah, he went to Georgia. Yeah, which was a big hit for us. Not gonna lie, he's a very explosive player.
But y'all got Xavier Restrepo back, right?
Yeah, we do still have Restrepo. Restrepo was always our number one in a sense. You know what I mean? Him and Van Dyke, they were roommates. They were always had a connection like this. And after watching the spring game, I can see that him and Cam Moore have developed something similar. But we're not here to talk about in the future because I'm going to get excited. So let's just talk about the sadness that I've had to endure. North Carolina, they got our number, man. I don't know what it is, but bruh, Mac Brown just always can just play us and just make us look like fools, and I hate it. I hate it. NC State, we shouldn't have lost that game, and I think that was around the time when they had put Tyler Van Dyke back in. Because that Virginia game and Tyler Van Dyke didn't play. We ended up having to go to overtime to beat them. Then put Van Dyke in the next week, still stunk it up. I think at a point Tyler Van Dyke just kind of lost his confidence, and he couldn't get the team to rally behind him. Because he is a talented player. He has a decent arm. When he's on, he's pretty accurate, but it's just I don't know what it is. I just don't think he has the leader qualities that you may need to also help bolster some semi play. You know what I mean?
I think you just can rattle him. I just think that's what it is. Like, even I said it about Spencer Rattler. At Oklahoma, when he's at Oklahoma, I said, bro, if you can get the Spencer Rattler, you can rattle. I think the same thing with Tyler Van Dyke.
Oh yeah, because the picks that we want to talk about picks. That brother,
I got you. Go ahead, do your thing.
With those picks, man. 19 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Like, this guy,
Zach Plummer.
Yeah, very similar. I can't remember what game it was. He threw like 4 though. It was that
Florida State?
It was Georgia. No, it was Georgia Tech. He threw 3 interceptions. Georgia Tech game.
Oh no, you're right. I remember Dave being pissed about that.
Yeah, and then our secondary just couldn't hold its water after a while, and it just everything crumbled, man. The Florida State game, I can't remember if he got hurt or I think he got hurt.
That's when Ja'Cory Brown came in at the end.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Ja'Cory Brown. It was
he came. Ja'Cory. I thought Ja'Cory Brown.
It was Williams. Ja'Cory Brown did end up playing, but it was I think Jaron Williams who came in for him, and then he tried to extend the ball for a first down, and they
He
end up
got hurt.
breaking his shoulder or whatever. But yeah, a very disappointing season for us. I'm not gonna lie. We had high expectations, but the bright side is it's Mario's team now. We're recruiting well, so we'll see what happens.
I got Tyler Van Dyke still being on the Miami roster.
No, he's with Wisconsin now.
I don't know why. It's ESPN still got him here. I don't know why. I'm about to say, I mean, I do actually kind of remember that happening though, but I don't know why.
He's for sure gone. And I saw something interesting from a article out of Wisconsin. They were saying that they wanted him to be more vocal and take more reins as the leader of the team. I said, sounds familiar.
Oh, I don't know why ESPN still got the 2023 roster. All right, cool. I got you. Ew, I don't like him at Wisconsin, but I think he definitely fits the quarterbacking of a Wisconsin quarterback.
Yeah, but, I think he needs a more pro style kind of. Well, I don't know.
Wisconsin quarterbacks really don't do too much. They just hand the ball off.
They don't. And even when we were playing the pro style under Josh Gaddis, he wasn't doing well. So who knows? Maybe he's just not that guy.
Sorry, Wisconsin fans, if you see this, but you know it's true. Like, I can't think of the last great quarterback to come out of Wisconsin. I mean, I even liked what's his face last year.
Fuck. Russell Wilson.
No. Oh yeah, I'm talking about that. Man, how long ago was that? That was a 2011. Yeah, he transferred from NC State. But I'm trying. What is bro's name that played last year? That played with SMU 2 years ago. I can't think of his name.
Let me see.
Not Preston Stone. That's who played at SMU this year. He played at SMU last year, bro. Well, he played at SMU prior to Wisconsin. I can't think of his name. Tanner Mordecai.
Tanner Mordecai. Yeah.
Tanner Mordecai.
Yeah.
At Wisconsin.
Nah.
But yeah, I think y'all are going to do a lot better this year. I am interested to see y'all.
49ers actually picked him up.
You said what?
49ers actually picked him up.
Oh, I didn't even know Mordecai was in the draft. That's what's up.
Well, he didn't get drafted.
I know he didn't get drafted. I figured he was undrafted, but I didn't even know he was like available. But that's what's up. I mess with Tanner Mordecai. He's not really going to get no burn there. Yeah. So my last little things about Miami. Like I said, I'm excited to see y'all. I do want to see y'all play. I love Cam Ward. My thing with Cam Ward, he always starts off strong, and then towards the end of the year, he kind of tapers off. I hope he doesn't do that with y'all. But he did have a really good 2 years at Washington. Well, I won't say really good. He did have a good 2 years at Washington State. He got Washington State talked about again, so that's good there. Y'all got some talent. He's not gonna be like Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams was actually like that at Washington State, but you got Strepo. I want to say y'all still got what's his name? Kobe George? Or was it Kobe Young? My bad, Kobe Young. I don't know.
Kobe Young is at Georgia. Jacoby George is still there.
I'm looking it up right now. But I know y'all got 2 of the 3 that I still had last year.
Yeah, we also got what's his name? Brown from Houston in the transfer portal.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
That's big. Right. Oh my, Martinez. We got Martinez from Oregon State.
Oh yeah, y'all looking nice. Oh yeah, I did just get Damian Martinez. That's absolutely correct.
We got Jaw Dog too from the D line from Michigan State. I can't remember his name.
I know
he had like a signal number.
Yeah, I forgot y'all got Damian Martinez from Oregon State. That's a huge pickup for y'all.
Yes, very much so. I'm so excited to see what we do this next upcoming year. I agree with what you said about Cam Ward, about him. You know, he kind of tapers off later on in the season, but I don't think he's had this kind of talent around him. We also have a very good tight end, a freshman tight end out of Bishop Gorman. I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now. But I saw the spring game. They're putting him everywhere, and that guy is so athletic, and he's a stout guy. He reminds me of like Jaheim Bell, basically.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm excited for y'all. So definitely gonna preview that one. Moving on, got to talk about North Carolina. My boy Drake May, aka Draco. North Carolina finished 9-4 year prior to that. 6-2, lost in the ACC championship badly to Clemson. I had North Carolina going 10-2, 7-1 in conference play. They actually finished 8-4 and 4-4 in conference play. They lost the Duke Mayo Bowl to West Virginia 30-10. I had them losing to South Carolina, which, boy, did Drake May carve us up. They actually won that game. I had them beating App State, which that was a Marion Hampton.
Double OT.
Yeah. Hey, I think Marion Hampton had like 200-something yards that game or something like that. Or was it Brooks? Either one of them two went absolutely insane. Minnesota, I had them beating Minnesota, even though Drake May threw 2 picks to, I believe, Tyler Nubin. One of them might have been to Tyler Nubin. Still won that game. I had them beating Pitt, which they won. I had them beating Syracuse. They won. I had them beating Yaw. They won. Had them beating Virginia, and they took the upset L to Virginia. I had them beating Georgia Tech. They also lost to Georgia Tech, as discussed earlier. Had them beating Campbell. They won. I had them beating Duke. They won. I had them losing to Clemson. They lost. And I had them beating NC State at the end of the year, and they lost. Had 8 games predicted correctly, 4 wrong, just like their record. I think Drake May had a pretty good year last year. Defensive talent was pretty much bad as always at North Carolina. I think Drake May did have some uncharacteristic plays, some bad picks. But
Very
overall, good season. Omarion Hampton had a breakout season at running back. You had Devontae Walker, who came late after trying to fight for eligibility. Finally got his eligibility to play. And I believe the first game he came back, he scored, 2-3 touchdowns?
Yeah, against us.
Crazy. So shout out him. He's now a Raven. Let's go. Yep, we drafted Devontae Walker. Sure did in the 4th round. And TJ Tampa, but it's not an NFL show.
I was about to say.
But yeah, man, I think it was a pretty good season. Obviously, not the season I expected, but good nonetheless. 8 wins. Mac Brown has actually been building a consistent football program at North Carolina, and he deserves a lot of props and respect for that.
Very much so. I think I had them going 8-4 as well, I believe. I can't recall exactly which games I had them losing. I'm sure we were one of them. That wasn't it, though. I definitely didn't have them losing to Virginia. That's just one of those weird things Drake made, throwing too many picks. You know, they kind of did what I expected them to do, though. I knew they would go as Drake May went, you know. And can't say enough about that guy's talent and what he did for them. Even as a true freshman coming in, like those 3 seasons, he made them look like a real contender, you know. And I think that definitely helped them in their recruiting and everything. So I'm for sure excited to see what more Mac Brown has to offer. North Carolina losing to NC State probably will hurt a little bit of their recruiting. Losing to Clemson will never help. But I think it's going to be a new era in North Carolina. So we're going to see what happens. Because when you lose a quarterback of that caliber, it's no way that it's an easy transition.
Yeah, so Drake May was supposed to be the start of the new era. You know, Luke May's brother. I honestly think Drake May lived up to who he was supposed to be. He just played 2 years. He got him to an ACC championship game. He just lost to Clemson. 8-4. He got him 2 winning seasons, 2 bowl games. He didn't even play in the second one. He played the first one, lost to Bo Nix. I can't even remember which bowl game that was, but I know they played Oregon, lost by a point. The Virginia game, Drake May threw 1 pick at the end of the game, which lost him the game. He was driving down the field. I remember he was driving down the field, got him close. I think got him to like the 20-25 and just threw a pick. Had 342. I just looked this up, by the way. 342 and 2 touchdowns. Tony Muskett had a really good game. If you remember, which we'll talk about it in a little bit, Virginia was going through back and forth with Tony Muskett and my guy, the freshman, Anthony Calandria, who I think can be really good if he just cuts down on these 3rd and 4th quarter turnovers. But, yeah, I think they had a really good season. I think Drake May had a really good season. I don't know where the Drake May disrespect came from, but I don't like it. Yeah, I just want to see what they do with quarterback next year.
Yeah, I think the disrespect probably came when, because he was doing so good, and then it kind of like hit a stride. Like I guess middle of the season after that Virginia game, it was like he just kind of had a slump. I guess I don't even really want to call it that. It's just maybe it was just some questionable decisions on certain plays.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you, to be honest. But it is what it is. My boy's still getting drafted 3rd overall, so shout out to you.
A win is a win.
Gotta move on to NC State. NC State was 8-5 the year prior, 4-4. lost the Duke's Mayo Bowl to UMD. I remember that game. It was like no touchdowns being scored in that one, like straight field goals and field position. Devin Leary then transfers to Kentucky. They go. I had them projected to go 7-5. 4-4. They finished 9-3 and 6-2. So shout out to them. Had a really good season. Peyton Wilson was an absolute animal. Shout out to you because y'all stole him. Absolute animal. ACC Defense Player of the Year. Won a couple of awards nationally as well. I had them beating UConn, which actually was a good game. They actually won. Brennan Armstrong. Oh, gotta talk Brennan Armstrong.
Yeah.
Such an up and down season for Brennan Armstrong. He had some really good runs, bad decisions in the passing game. They actually went to the freshman. I can't remember his name right now. He actually ended up transferring.
Something Morris.
Yeah. Was it Mike Morris?
MJ Morris.
MJ Morris, yep. MJ Morris, they went to him for like 3-4 games, ended up going back to Brennan Armstrong. MJ Morris then jumps into the portal, basically saying he didn't feel like he got a fair shot to finish the season out for the job. Something along those lines. Don't want to misconstrue, so do not quote me. I paraphrased, and I might be wrong. So don't want to ruin MJ Morris by being wrong, but I know that he did leave. He ended up jumping in the portal. Brennan Armstrong, after being benched, kind of got it together, to be honest. But I had them losing to Notre Dame, which was right. I had them beating Virginia Military Institution, which was right. Had them beating Virginia, right. I had them beating Louisville. Close game, but a loss nonetheless. Had them beating Marshall, which was right. Had them losing to Duke, which was right. Had them losing to Clemson, which they actually beat Clemson. Had them losing to the U. They actually beat the U. Had them beating with Wake Forest, which was right. Had them beating Virginia Tech, which was right. And I had them losing to UNC, which I marked wrong, but was right. So hold on. Oh, no, I was wrong. They did.
No, they won.
Yep,
They
I'm tripping. So I had 8 games right, 4 games wrong. Like I said, they finished 9-3, 6-2, and they lost the Pop-Tart Bowl to Kansas State 28-19. I talked a little bit about NC State. Go ahead and talk about NC State.
Yeah, like you said, Brendan Armstrong, very up and down season, but he did turn around after he got benched. Peyton Wilson, dog, definitely a guy who flies around the field. They're going to miss him for sure. I can't say how more wrong I was about NC State, to be honest. I think I had them going like 6-6, maybe 5-7, and these guys were really like that surprise team in the conference this year, aside from Louisville. Like they were just a tough physical football team, man. You know, sometimes it's very hard to beat that, especially when you got Brendan Armstrong running around everywhere like a chicken with his head cut off, and hard to tackle as a quarterback. I mean, the Louisville game definitely could have went their way. Notre Dame game, I mean, that's just a talent difference right there.
The
Duke game, crazy. Yeah. Duke game. Oh, Concepcion.
I was gonna bring it up if you didn't. Oh my god! If you ain't bring him up, I was.
A dog.
Freshman receiver went crazy.
Killed us. He killed us, and I was like, Jesus, who is this dude? Man, I think he is a big part of why they were so good last year. Because he just found a way to get open, and he can break tackles, and he's just gone, man.
He's nice.
Very impressed by him.
Yeah, like I said, if you ain't bring him up, I was for sure about to bring up Kevin Concepcion. He's nice, bro. Mm-hmm. He's one of them young guys. I can't wait to see junior year come around. What is he going to do? Is he going to be eligible to go to? He's like going to be one of them top guys in the draft? I can't wait. I definitely can't wait about Concepcion. That was definitely a great pick by them. Louisville game, that was just turnovers. If I remember correctly, they lost that game strictly off turnovers. Had great field position. I think they even missed a field goal. Let me look this up. But I want to say it was all of those reasons above why they lost in the game against Louisville. I think the final score was like 13-10, something like that.
Yeah, 13-10.
Yeah, that was
Brendan Armstrong, 2 interceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
a fumble.
Game.
2 interceptions and a fumble. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was turnovers. That was just a turnover game right there. But shout out to them because they, like you said, definitely did better than what we both expected. 9-3, could have had 10 wins if they won a bowl game. So interesting to see how they go next year because I think they were heavily reliant on their defense. Obviously losing their leader in Peyton Wilson.
Yeah,
interesting to see how they're going to be next year. Got to move on to a team that disappointed us both. University of Pittsburgh. University of Pittsburgh went 9-4, 5-3 the year prior. They, Coach Narduzzi has been there for a while, MSU guy. I had them finishing 9-3, 6-2 in ACC play. They finished 3-9 and 2-6 in ACC play. So the literal opposite of what I thought they would be. I had them beating Wofford, which was correct. I had them beating Cincy, which was incorrect. Had them beating West Virginia, again incorrect. In the backyard brawl, that was another game. Pitt just lost the turnovers, and CJ Donaldson, I think, ran wild against them. Had them losing to North Carolina, which was correct. I had them beating Virginia Tech, which was incorrect. Had them beating Louisville, which was surprisingly correct. Had them beating Wake Forest, which was incorrect. I had them losing to Notre Dame, which was correct. Had them losing to Florida State, which was correct. Had them beating Syracuse, which was incorrect. Had them beating Boston College, which was correct. And I had them beating Duke, which was incorrect. Predicted 6 games right and 6 games wrong. And just a spoiler, this is the only team where I was 50-50 on being right and wrong. Everybody else was above 500. This is the only one I went 500. Some notes about Pitt. Phil Dracovic struggled yet again. Bub Means I think I just mixed college football and college basketball. Holy crap. Hold on, let me Google this real quick. I want to say Bub Means played receiver, but why do I feel like that was a college basketball player? Nope. He played football, and he's currently at Louisiana Tech, I think. Bub Means, yeah. He played receiver. I think he was a really good receiver for them. For some reason, I feel like I was mixing football and basketball. He was a really good receiver for them. I got right here. He was all ACC honorable mention. Defensively, I think lacked for Pitt. I don't think this was a Pitt defense that I'm used to seeing. I can't even name a guy off the defense. That's how I know this wasn't a defense that I'm used to seeing. Just a real lackluster season by Pitt. Izzy was gone. Who was the running back this year? I can't remember his name off top. I do remember them having a really good running back, but I can't remember his name off top.
Maybe Hammond, maybe.
Was it Hammond?
I do see him on the roster, but I don't know if he was the
leading rusher. I can't remember his name off the top.
Oh yeah, Rodney Hammond. He was the leading rusher, but he wasn't in true command of the backfield by the look of the stats.
Yeah, I can't. It's not really much I want to talk about against Pitt here. Just lackluster season. Really disappointed. Hopefully they can bounce back and turn it around. So, I mean, you can give you a few words about Pitt, and then we can move on.
Yeah, you pretty much said it for me, man. Very, very disappointing season by them. I think we were sipping the Narduzzi Kool-Aid and just maybe wasn't really seeing the roster for what it was. I mean, they just simply just didn't look like they had it this year. The Louisville win, I mean, even the broken clock is right twice a day. Beat Boston College, but everything else, I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed, dude. The least amount of points they gave up was 17 if it was an FBS school, so it's not looking good for them. I mean, if anybody can turn around, we think it's Narduzzi, just for the simple fact of my personal opinion of how I think he's such a great coach at developing players.
Facts.
But I mean, you still got to get some guys with some talent in there. It ain't Build a Bear workshop. Yeah,
the like you said, the lowest game was 16 against Boston College. They won 24-16. Other than that, it was 28-30, 24-58.
Yeah, I think that was the name.
They gave up 21 to Wake Forest. They held Louisville to 21, which was surprising. But then they gave up 38 to Virginia Tech, 41 to North Carolina. They held West Virginia to 17, but they lost 17-6, and they gave up 27 to Cincy. So defense was just not that good this year, and it cost them. We'll move on to another team that to me was disappointing. Now they only finished 1 game less than I had them, but it was just so lackluster. Syracuse finished 7-6 the year prior, 4-4 in ACC play. They had Garrett Shrader returning, so I expected a little more out of Garrett Shrader. I didn't really get what I was expecting, to be honest. I had them finishing 7-5, 4-4. They actually finished 6-6 2-6 in ACC play, so absolutely bad in ACC play. I had them beating Colgate, which they won. Had them beating Western Michigan, they won. Had them losing to Purdue, shockingly won that game. I want to say they forced like 4 or 5 turnovers that game.
Schrader also almost ran for 200 yards.
Yeah, he had 4 touchdowns that game, right?
Yeah,
on the ground though,
something like that.
Yeah, he went stupid. I think I made him I forgot what I used to call them players. I used to have a list at the end of the show, and I can't even remember my own segment. That's crazy. But I used to highlight players for performances, major performances. I had him a major performer for that week. I had them beating Army, which they won. I had them losing to Clemson, they lost. I had them losing to UNC, they lost. Had them losing to Florida State, they lost. Had them beating Virginia Tech, they lost. Had them beating Boston College, they lost. Had them losing to Pitt, they won. Had them beating Georgia Tech, they lost. And I had them beating Wake Forest, and they won, making me 7 games right, 5 games wrong on Syracuse. Again, lackluster season, in my opinion, by Garrett Schrader. Just a lackluster season in general by Syracuse. Even defensively, I just felt like it was so bad, like lackluster. And it to me, it goes to that Boston College game. Cal Robitaille and Thomas Castellanos, if I remember correctly, just ran through them. And I know they had a backup that game. Garrett Schrader was actually hurt, but even defensively, it didn't even help. It's just so bad. I mean, Syracuse on paper had a decent season. They actually lost the Boca Raton Bowl 45-0 to USF, excuse me. But spoiler alert, USF is I'm high on USF next year as a mid-major school. Just spoiler alert, throwing that out. But yeah, they got absolutely destroyed in the bowl game. They got Cal McCord coming in at quarterback next year. I'm super low on Syracuse.
I forgot he went there. Yeah, Syracuse was definitely a very disappointing team as far as what we projected and what actually. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say that disappointing because it's not like we were super off, but that little 5-week stretch made them look very bad, and it was the beginning of ACC play too. So it's like when you start off conference play like that, you're basically not giving yourself a chance, man. I remember that Pittsburgh game being funny. Because I remember looking at the stat sheet and it was like they only had 20 yards passing or something like that. And I was like, damn, how is that possible? But yeah, other than that, I mean, they kind of, I'm never super high on Syracuse. I remember the year before last, they were a decent team. They had a small defensive line, but they were very agile. They can give some people some problems. I'm not too sure about them though. It was a very nasty season.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm never too high on Syracuse, but at least the year before coming into the season, they were fun to watch. It was fun to watch Garrett Schrader. Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Absolutely.
It wasn't even fun to watch. With Sean Tucker, it was fun to watch.
Especially the home games when that dome gets rocking.
Yeah, what was that? The Virginia game where everybody thought Virginia was just going to beat Syracuse or something like that. It was fun to watch. Sean Tucker was absolutely tough at Syracuse. This just wasn't the same. LeQuint Allen was cool, but just was not the same.
I agree. Oops, my bad.
So, I mean, shout out though. Shout out to them. Hopefully, I can change it around. I don't see it next year because, as you know, I'm not a fan of Cal McCord. But
nah,
yeah.
I mean, it can't be that big of an upgrade. It can't. Cal McCord didn't show. He didn't show like he was a world beater at Ohio State. You think he's gonna do that at Syracuse with way less talent?
Yeah, bro had Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka and Cade Stover and did not look good.
Yeah. So
good luck.
Another 6-6 season on the horizon, probably.
That might be pushing it, but gotta move on to Virginia. Virginia. We were not super high on them. Virginia actually finished 3-7, 1-6 years prior due to the unfortunate events that happened on campus. Again, rest in peace to the players and everybody else who may have passed in that situation, and praise up. But Had them finishing 3-9, 2-6. They finished 3-9 and 2-6, making it my third correct prediction of the ACC. Going 3-4-11 or 3-4. Well, yeah, 3-11, 3-14, whatever you want to call it. I got 3 right, which is good. It's good nonetheless. I had them losing, obviously, to Tennessee. They lost. Had them losing to JMU. They lost. Had them losing to UMD, Maryland. They lost. Had them losing in North Carolina State. They lost. I had them beating Boston College. They lost. Started out the year 0-5. Then they beat William and Mary, which I had them winning. Had them losing to UNC. They won, shockingly. Had them losing to the U. They lost. Had them beating Georgia Tech. They lost. Had them losing to Louisville. They lost. Had them losing to Duke. They won. And I had them losing to Virginia Tech, which they lost. I had 8 games right, 4 games wrong. My note, Malik Washington. Why am I blanking on the other receiver name? He was absolutely like that too. I can't remember the other receiver. Malik Washington was the transfer from Northwestern.
Malachi Fields.
There you go. Malachi Fields. Both dynamic receivers. Both did their thing. Anthony Calandria. Oh my God! If you could stop these late game turnovers, you would be so much better and so much more talked about. You are such an electric quarterback to watch. I need you to stop. Yeah, he was a freshman, but he was so electric to watch. I just need the turnovers to stop, bro. Please, I like his game. If he could cut down these turnovers, I think he could be someone that's talked about in 2 years as one of the top 10. I was almost about to go too far, but one of the top 10 passes in the country. I almost went too far, but really? I think he's talked about as one of the top 10 passes in the country if he could just reel these turnovers in. But yeah, shout out Virginia. Didn't do good. We didn't expect you to do good, but you got a young guy. If you could build around him, you got some promise.
Yeah, I think I had them going 2-10, 1-7 in conference play. Yeah, like you said, they were who we thought they were. I think the only thing that snuck by us was the North Carolina win. Yeah, other than that, well, also the Duke win. I mean, nobody expected them to beat Duke either, but
yeah,
they still were pretty much on par for who we thought they were. I agree with you on Calandra. I think he has a lot of talent and he's as a high ceiling guy. He's a little small, but he makes it work, man. You could tell that he plays with a certain kind of passion that his teammates can appreciate. But I mean, to be honest, I do think that Virginia is kind of in like college football hell right now. Like they don't really get great recruits. When you watch their games, nobody's really there. It's like, they're just a bad team, and it seems like it's a bad program overall. And then the events that happened the year prior, I'm sure didn't help at all. Yeah. I don't know. I'm used to Virginia being bad, so it doesn't shock me. I hope they're bad next year.
I feel you, man. Look at this, man. Look at this. Second half, right? Is a tie. It's Maryland's up 21-14. Calandria throws a pick, I believe, in the start of the fourth quarter. No, in the third quarter. I want to say no. He throws a pick to start the fourth. Yes, that's what I thought. Dude, 3 picks in the fourth quarter, back to back. I was so mad watching that game. I remember watching that game, bro. Threw 3 picks back to back. But then he got games like the Duke game where I just had his stats. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he threw for like 21 of 30. Yeah, 21 of 30, 278, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 9 rushes.
He played decent against us as well.
Huh?
Yeah, and they played decent against us as well. I think they took us to overtime.
Yeah, he didn't play though. I think that was Musket. But even JMU, 20 of 26, 377, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Mm-hmm. NC State was decent, 18 of 30, 271, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Georgia Tech, not so great, 21 of 37, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 200 yards. Louisville, 20 of 31, 314, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Like, Calandria could be so talented, bro. Just got to stop these interceptions. And piggyback on what you said, Virginia is one of them schools, maybe because my grandma lives in Virginia, I want them to do good. I think it was 1 year with Matt Johnson at quarterback. They were pretty decent.
They've had their moments for sure.
Yeah. I want to say that was the year with Matt Johnson. Let me see. Virginia football records. What is it? History. I want to say it was kind of recent. They had a pretty decent year. They had a decent year and beat Virginia Tech because let's not forget they do be losing to Virginia Tech. So
Yeah.
that was like an icing on the cake situation. Let's see. 2021 they went 6-6 under Bronco Mendenhall. They went 9-5 in 2019 under Bronco Mendenhall. They lost the Orange Bowl. 9-5 was great for
Yeah.
UVA. 8-5. Then it was 6-7, 2-10, 4-8, 5-7, 2-10. Yeah, it was bad. But 2018 and 2019, 8-5 and 9-5, you will take that for UVA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And after that, it like I said, bad. Not good.
Just better talent those days. That's all.
Yeah, it's just Virginia. One is not a football school; it's an academic school, so it's hard to get into. And then two,
if it is an academic school, basketball.
Yeah, basketball too. It's definitely a basketball school. But then you got Virginia Tech right there, so it's hard. Like a lot of them are probably just going to Virginia Tech instead of Virginia, or if they are going to Virginia, like you said, they're going for basketball. So
you want to know something I think that's very interesting about it as well? I
what's
think maybe it's a thing where it's like because Virginia is in Charlottesville, which is more towards the East Coast, and Virginia Tech is at Blacksburg, which is more east. So it's like maybe those regions where they're recruiting is kind of lends to one having more talent than the other. I mean, it could be.
I think Blacksburg is kind of in the mountains, though, ain't it?
Yeah, I think so. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, bro. I don't know, but I think it's more so like the academic. It's so hard to get in Virginia, so I don't think it's as hard to get into Virginia Tech. Not to knock Virginia Tech, but I mean, it just is what it is.
I can see that.
Yeah, but moving on to Virginia Tech. They finished 3-8, 1-6. Again, they did not play Virginia due to the unfortunate event that happened on the campus. Virginia Tech 3-8, 1-6. I had them finishing 3-9, 3-5 in conference play. They actually finished 6-6, 5-3, and they won the Military Bowl 41-20 versus Tulane. Was it two? I think Tulane ended up winning the AAC championship last year too. So yeah, I think they beat the AAC champs as they, I had Virginia Tech losing to Old Dominion to start the year. They won. Had them losing to Purdue. They lost. Had them losing to Rutgers. They lost. Had them losing to Marshall. They lost. So shout out to me. I got an FCS joint. Not FCS, but mid-major joint, right? I had them losing to Pitt. They won. Had them losing to Florida State. They lost. Had them winning against Wake Forest. They won. Had them losing to Syracuse. They lost. Had them losing to Louisville. They lost. Had them beating Boston College. They won. Had them beating NC State. They lost. I had them losing to NC State. They lost. I had them beating Virginia, and they won. So I was 9 games right, 3 games wrong on Virginia Tech. Grant Wells was cool for Virginia Tech. I mean, they were more so of a running team. They really didn't have that much of a passing game at Virginia Tech. They do need to develop a passing game at Virginia Tech, but I mean, I really have nothing to say about Virginia Tech season except they did way better than I thought. They got themselves a bowl game. I just don't think they can sustain the way that they played as success moving forward. Definitely have to find a passing game.
Yeah, I'm actually very impressed by how Virginia Tech handled the season, especially after Grant Wells went down early. Kyron Jones, I think he was a Baylor transfer.
Yeah, definitely was.
He came in. He played pretty well. I mean, he wasn't like. I think he took care of the ball very well, which is led to them winning a lot of those games. I think he only. How many picks did he have on it?
He's a runner, though.
I mean, yeah, he's a runner, but I mean, still, like even runners, they still have problems with turnovers. You know what I mean? They still can put the ball in harm's way and keep the team from winning these games. I mean, I can't tell you the intricacies of how they lost to Marshall, how they lost to Rutgers and stuff like that. There were the first 2 games that Jones got in, so maybe it was just a little adjustment period. But I mean, to be honest, I don't think Virginia Tech is that bad of a team, or was that bad of a team last year. I think they were very middle of the pack. They had a few weapons. It's just maybe they didn't have everything that they needed to take the next step forward. But I'm not mad at the season they had. I think it was actually pretty decent. It was better than I expected.
Oh, for sure. I'm not mad at the season either. 6-6, win you a bowl game. That's definitely way better than I thought. So not mad at the season at all. I got some Kyron Jones numbers up here, but I think they're kind of misleading though. I ain't gonna lie, 160. He had a 58.2% completion percentage, which is not bad, not great, but not bad. 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's actually phenomenal. Yeah. But again, he's a runner. 166 carries, 818 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's a runner. If he can develop more as a passer, it will be dangerous for Virginia Tech. I forgot one name, and I just seen the name. Bashul Tootin. I think he had a really good year at Virginia Tech at running back. So shout out to Bashul Tootin. Yeah, man. I don't know if it's receiver talent, if they can get some better receiver talent in, or what it is, but I think Kyron Jones is gonna be cool for them next year. He needs to take that next step, in my opinion.
Right. I can agree with that though. That's not a bad take at all.
Cool. So let's finally move on to the last team of the ACC before we wrap it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing about Virginia Tech.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Last season, they went from last in sacks to first in sacks in the conference.
That's what's up. So shout out to them.
That also helped them for sure.
Shout out to them for that. Let's move on to Wake Forest. Wake Forest moved on from Sam Hartman. Before I talk about Wake Forest, that was such a how am I word this? Weak move by them to get mad at Notre Dame for having senior night for Sam Hartman. Talking about we had him for 4 years, you had him for 1. He's ours, not yours, bro. It's senior night, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah, he's a senior.
This supposed to not do nothing for him,
right?
That was so weak. But then they talked about Grayson Loftus, Mitch Griffiths. They talked about how they like Mitch Griffiths and they were able to move on because of him. And Wake Forest, I got it right here, finished 4-8, 1-7 in conference. I had them going 2-10, 1-7 in conference. So, got a comment from Joe. Shout out Sam, HTTC. That's his guy. He loves Sam Hartman. I like Sam Hartman, but I didn't like him once he went to Notre Dame. But yeah, I had them finishing 2-10. I mean, I had them finishing, 4-8, 1-7. I had them beating Elon, which they won. Had them losing to Vandy. They actually beat Vandy. Had them losing to ODU. That's the second time I got ODU wrong, trying to say this is gonna be a Power 5 school. They lost to ODU. I had them beating Georgia Tech. They lost. I had them losing to Clemson. They lost. I had them losing to Virginia Tech. They lost. I had them losing to Pitt. They actually won. That was the last one of the year. They lost to Florida State, Duke, NC State, Notre Dame, and Syracuse, which I had them all losing to. Again, finishing 4-8, 1-7. Not really much to talk about Wake Forest here. Mitch Griffiths had some moments. The Duke game, I think he played pretty well against Duke. They just lost because Duke was just a better team. I can see some moments with Wake Forest, but I don't know the direction Wake Forest is headed in. I don't know if that's a good thing. But Wake Forest is also not a football school, in my opinion. They're more so like a mediocre basketball school. Joe's going to kill me for that, but it is what it is. He's a Wake Forest basketball fan. He says Commander signed him. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, your guys in D.C. where he probably won't get no burn because, Jaden and Marcus. But yeah, man, I look at Wake Forest more so of a basketball school than a football school. Now, they got basketball tradition, but as of, recent, they're not really a good basketball school. They had a really good year last year, kind of squandered it at the end, should have been a tournament team, but they blew it. I hated it for them. Then they had an unfortunate event in the NIT. Hunter Silas got the most freak accident injury ever in the NIT and it became a late game scratch. And then they lose, I think, Georgia. So that sucked. But yeah, man, I really don't have too much to say about Wake Forest. They got to figure it out because they might be another bottom of the barrel ACC team next year.
Yeah, definitely. I think I had them as 2-10 as well. They're mid, man. They're mid. Mitch Griffiths is mid. I'm really not impressed with Wake Forest at all by any means. I mean, like you said, they're kind of a basketball school and kind of only means Tim Duncan and Chris Paul,
That's why I said they got the tradition.
So, I mean, other than that, they used to average 30 points and now I don't even know what they averaged last season.
I'll look real quick. But that's because they lost A.T. Perry and Sam Hartman.
Yeah, but then also let's just change this from Wake Forest and just talk about Sam Hartman. Was he just a system quarterback or was he actually good?
I don't think he did that bad at Notre Dame. I think he had bad moments at Notre Dame, but I think overall he had a pretty good year at Notre Dame. I do think he didn't help his draft stock, and I do think the system. No, I take that back because I don't think it was necessarily the system because Mitch Griffiths didn't look like Sam Hartman, and it was the same coaches.
Yeah,
I think Sam Hartman elevated Wake Forest. I don't know if he might have been a little overrated because of that, but I don't think he was a system guy.
and I also don't think Sam Hartman started killing until maybe his junior season.
Yeah, he it took him a while for Sam
Yeah,
Hartman.
like he had to grow into the guy who he was. It's not like
That
he
is
just
true.
had the talent. I think is one of the things like the game slowed down for him. He was able to make those decisions a lot faster and clearer than other quarterbacks were that were
Yeah,
there.
that's true. Definitely had
So
to grow into it.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's not much to say about Wake Forest. I mean, they were last in the ACC, if not last, close to the bottom. So
I got all that, and it's coming up. Got all that coming up. But I just to touch on what you talked about. So for Wake Forest, 37 against Elon, but it's Elon. They put up 36 against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt did not have a great year. Put up 27 against Notre Dame, not Notre Dame, against Old Dominion, excuse me. Put up 16 against Georgia Tech. Put up 12 against Clemson. Actually, only lost that game 17-12. Put up only 13 against Virginia Tech. Put up 21 in the one against Pitt. Put up 16 in the loss to Florida State. Put up 21 in the loss to Duke. Put up 6 in the loss to NC State. Put up 7 in the loss to Notre Dame, and put up 31 in the loss to Syracuse. So they offensively did okay against teams with not so great defenses, but when you play a defense, it's not
per usual, and they also let 49 sacks.
Yeah. Joe said going to Notre Dame definitely hurt his draft stock. Yeah, I think that did. And what was that, Louisville game? Oh yeah, that game definitely didn't help.
Yeah.
That Louisville game did not help Sam Hartman at all.
Yeah, the Notre Dame did not have the season they were supposed to have. They had a great season. He'd have been fine, but
yeah, they had playoff aspirations with Sam Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
They thought Sam Hartman was the missing piece because the year prior, who was it? Was it Drew Pine starting at quarterback the year prior?
Yeah, I think so.
And they almost lost to Cal with that. So
yeah,
didn't they lose to Marshall with Drew Pine?
Yes, yeah, they did actually. They did.
Yeah, that was bad. So
because that's the game that got Lance Guidry on my radar.
Yeah, that was bad. So let's talk about the ACC standings as I type up this banner because I forgot to do it. ACC standings. I'm gonna take this ticker off. So we're gonna do. I got my predicted standings I had, and then I got the actual standings. So my predicted standings were Florida State at 1, 12-0, 8-0. Clemson at 2, 11-1, 7-1, making it Florida State Clemson National Championship. I had UNC at 3 at 10-2, 7-1. Pitt at 4, 9-3, 6-2. Miami at 5, 8-4, 5-3. Duke at 6, 7-5, 4-4. NC State, because they lost the head-to-head, 7-5, 4-4. I had 8 Syracuse, 7-5, 4-4. 9 Louisville, 6-6, 4-4. 10 Boston College, 4-8, 1-7. 11 Virginia Tech because they won the head-to-head, and that made them have the better record in the ACC. I had them 3-9, 3-5. Virginia at 3-9, 2-6. Georgia Tech at 13, 3-9, 1-7, and Wake Forest 2-10, 1-7 at the bottom. Now the actual ACC rankings went like this: Florida State 1, 12-0, 8-0. Louisville 2, 10-2, 7-1. NC State at 3, 9-3, 6-2. Georgia Tech at 4, 6-6, 5-3. Virginia Tech at 5, 6-6, 5-3. Clemson at 6, 8-4, 4-4. UNC at 7, 8-4, 4-4. Duke at 8, 7-5, 4-4. Miami at 9, 7-5, 3-5. Boston College at 10, so I got that right, but they were 6-6, 3-5. Syracuse at 11, 6-6, 2-6. Pitt at 12, 3-9, 2-6. UVA at 13, 3-9, 2-6, and Wake Forest at 14, 4-8, 1-7. So the ones I actually got right was Florida State at 1, Boston College at 10, and Wake Forest at 14. Care to talk about the ACC standings?
Well, the season wasn't quite what we expected, but I think it was a very, very typical ACC season. It's very unpredictable as far as where people land in the middle. The people who you think are going to be at the top are usually at the top. I mean, minus Louisville
And Clemson.
But we knew Florida State was really going to run that conference this year. So that was never really a question. I'm pretty sure my predictions were very similar to yours, save for a few games here and there. But I don't really have too much to say about the season. It was good. There were some competitive games, I just kind of wish that somebody from the ACC could have firmly established themselves as like an elite team and also showed it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about the ACC either. Like you said, man, the ACC becomes a car pile in the middle after, it's top heavy with Florida State, Louisville. After the top heavy stuff, you would say NC State too. After that, it becomes like I said, a car pile. 4 through 9 all went. No, excuse me. You know what's crazy about the ACC that I didn't talk about just now? Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech were both 6-6, but above schools like Clemson, UNC, and Duke, and Miami, who were 7-5 because they had a better ACC record.
Yeah.
Duke, Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech were 5-3 in ACC, which that's the only thing that matters in the standings for the ACC. While Clemson, UNC, Duke, and Miami were 4-4 and 3-5. So it's crazy how that can happen, where the team who has a better overall record is lower than the team because they have the worst ACC record. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was something cool. Yep. So that was something that's pretty cool that happened in the ACC.
Also, that was the first year where everybody was in the same.
There was no Coastal and Atlantic Conference.
Yeah, so I think that that has to contribute to it a bit.
Yeah, that is true. Also, some disappointments. Clemson, UNC. Well, I wouldn't say necessarily UNC because they went 8-4, but Clemson for sure was a disappointment. Some shockers, obviously Louisville and NC State. But I ain't really got too much to say about the ACC. Show that they're top heavy.
I think UNC was only a disappointment just because the way that they lost certain games.
That Clemson game, I ain't gonna lie. That Drake did not look good in that Clemson game, bro. That one disappointed me. I'm not gonna lie.
Going to overtime with what was that, App State or something?
Yeah, but that was because the defense can't stop nobody, bro. It's so sad how bad the defense can be. Yeah. That's why I was so mad South Carolina lost to them because, this defense is not good. They almost tricked me how good they played on defense against South Carolina. They had 9 sacks that game against Spencer Rattler. It was insane.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was insane. But we're going to talk about the championship game and play of the year, and then we're going to get some last words, and then we out of here. So my predicted championship game, probably for the third time this podcast, was Florida State and Clemson. It ended up being Florida State and Louisville. I did predict Florida State to win the ACC, and they did. My player of the year prediction was Jordan Travis, and Jordan Travis won ACC player of the year, so I got that right. ACC championship game prediction, and then your player of the year prediction, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I predicted the same championship game. I thought it would be Clemson. Yeah, Clemson and Florida State. If Jordan Travis played in that game, that would have been a blowout, though.
I think
they would have handed to Louisville, and Louisville would have looked so confused. They wouldn't know what was going on with them. My ACC Player of the Year prediction was horrible, horrid, abhorrent.
I think I killed you for it on the show too.
Yeah, I cannot say how wrong I was about that, and to be honest, glad I was because better days is coming. Peace, TVD.
Yeah, man. So that's it. That's it for the ACC review. We reviewed our picks. Ace, any final words before we wrap this up?
Nothing, but it's always a pleasure, brother. I can't wait to do the preview.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. It's gonna be so crazy when we get to part 2 for the second annual previewing the conferences. And as always, if you want to do it, you got an open door on this platform. So just let me know you locked in. So my final words is shout out Florida State, shout out Keon Coleman. I just recently hold on, we got a comment. Do y'all think Jordan Travis? Nope, never mind. Nah, I ain't gotta read it. Well, I do gotta read it for the people that can't see. Joe says, do y'all think Jordan Travis would have won the Heisman if he never got hurt and win their bowl game? Well, first of all, Jordan Travis don't get hurt, they go to the playoffs. I don't think they go to a bowl game. I think they go to the playoffs. Secondly, no, because Jaden Daniels just had too crazy of a year. I mean, nobody expected him to have 50 total touchdowns with the rushing and passing yards that he had. So it's kind of a uphill battle when you're going against a guy who had 50 total tuds. I know I predicted on my Heisman, my award show that if Jordan Travis goes undefeated, wins the ACC championship, that you have no choice but to give him the Heisman. Didn't think Jaden Daniels or any other quarterback would have 50 total touchdowns, though. So if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have said that. But, yeah, I don't think they play the bowl game. I think if Jordan Travis even if he's healthy and they don't get in the playoffs, I think they do the same thing. Everybody sits out. They feel like we shouldn't have been in the everybody feels like we should have been in the playoffs anyway. Yeah, I don't think that. And I get it, Joe. They did beat LSU first game of the season. But the Heisman is different. Like 50 total touchdowns. You got to think about it, bro. LSU went 9-3. They didn't win the SEC West. They didn't play in the SEC championship game. They had no playoffs aspirations. And Jaden still won the Heisman over Michael Penix, who Washington almost went undefeated. Who they lose to? Washington. I think Washington lost some stupid game or something like that. I think they went like 11-1. I can't remember who Washington lost to, but I know they wasn't undefeated. He won the Pac-12 championship, made the playoffs, made the Natty, and still didn't win the Heisman. So I don't think nobody was taking that from Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels was just on a completely different level last year. He literally willed that team to where they were. Like,
I gotta look this up, by the way. Continue.
No, they actually went undefeated. They went undefeated. They didn't lose. Yeah, they didn't lose until they lost to Michigan. But I do think though, if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, Florida State is probably in the national championship.
Yeah, I think they for sure make the playoffs.
I can easily see that.
Yeah, I think they might mess around and knock. I don't know though, bro. Do they take out Bama or do they take out Texas? Because one of them, it wasn't Michigan and it wasn't Washington, so it was either Bama or Texas. And one of them had to go because they'd have been an undefeated Power 5 conference school with your starting quarterback.
If they get in, what was Washington, like 2?
Washington was 2 because they played Texas. And Texas was 3 and Bama was 4. And Bama was a 1-loss SEC champ.
I think Bama has to go out.
I was thinking that too, but I just feel like the committee's not leaving the SEC out of it. Washington,
of course, they love Bama, but when you look at it, Michigan was completely dominant for the most part. Florida State was completely dominant until Jordan Travis went out. Yeah.
Nah, I feel you, but I just don't think they're not leaving the SEC out, bro. You know how it is, bro. They're not leaving the SEC out.
I don't see how you can do that though. When
they love the SEC,
undefeated, but Washington is undefeated. They beat Oregon twice.
Yep.
They beat Oregon State. They beat Utah. They beat USC. It doesn't make sense just because of tradition that you have to put Alabama in there.
But that's what they do. That's what they do.
It is what they do. But however, they only got in there, and I'm doing my Trump hands again. They only got in there because Jordan Travis got hurt.
But you just think back, what was it, Ohio State when they got in, even though Penn State won the Big Ten and beat Ohio State because they were Ohio State? Or remember when Ohio State got in 2016 over who they getting over? I can't remember.
Yes, but I do think that they were still probably the better team of the teams that were available in those years, though.
Bro, I cannot remember the team because even Joey Galloway said the Ohio State shouldn't have got in 2015, and I can't remember who it was over or 2016.
don't know.
I can't remember who was over at the time, but it was a debate whether Ohio State should have got in, and then they did get in. I think they lost to Bama or something like that. I don't think it was the national championship year. I think it was the year after that, or maybe it might have been the Natty. No, it was the Natty year because the year after Michigan State got in and got absolutely destroyed by Bama. So it was the year they won the Natty in 2015. Galloway was saying
the Cardell year.
Yeah, it was a Cardell year because it was a debate whether they should have got in or not. I just can't remember the team who there was debate for.
Yeah, I don't remember the teams, but either way, it's a good thing that they're expanding it this year. So
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think they was going to screw Texas. I think they was going to screw over Texas, and Florida State would have got in over Texas.
I could see that though. I could see that but I mean, Texas beat Bama, so it's like
I'm telling you, bro, it's SEC and it's Bama. They're look, as much as Texas, they would like Texas to be a household name. As much as Texas being great is great for college football, the way Bama was with Nick Saban, they were not about to leave out the SEC.
And I was just about to say, it's going to be interesting to see if they get that same treatment now that
Kalen DeBoer is the head coach.
Yeah,
that is true. But yeah, Joe, I hope that answers your question. Oh, hold on. I'm about to shut it down, but he says Quinn Ewers is the Heisman winner next year. Agree or disagree? It doesn't mean he's the best quarterback because we all know who everybody thinks is going to be the best quarterback next year.
First of all, I don't even necessarily agree with that. With who we think is going to be the best quarterback next year.
Interesting.
I like Shador. I love Shador, but I don't know.
It's some guys up there.
I can see Quinn Ewers winning the Heisman though. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Ewers get hurt or something, and Arch come in and do his thing.
My thing with Texas is you lost so much at receiver. I don't even know who's at receiver for them right now. Like
and D-line too. You lost some.
Yeah, you lost your kid, Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat, and you lost Jalen Ford at linebacker.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting, man. It'll be very, very interesting. I'm not gonna give him the Heisman though, at least not yet.
I think he'll be in the running for it. I think he'll be top. I think he'll be a finalist. I give you that, Joe. I think he'll be a finalist. It's just tough right now because it's going to do
Shador. You know,
yeah, Shador.
They're going to be in the conversation.
They lost Jonathan Brooks. He gone. I mean, Baxter. I think Baxter's back, but CJ Baxter.
Yeah, Baxter's back. But yeah, they did lose Brooks.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think this Heisman is going to have a lot to do with team success. Because there's not a lot of studs out there. Like there's
let's not forget about Dark Horse, Jackson Dart.
My boy, that's my boy.
That's the Dark Horse for the Heisman, to be honest.
Yes, sir. They went 10-2 too. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about Ole Miss. They went 10-2. They brought, and wish Crenshaw Judkins would have stayed, but unfortunately he left. They got my boy touchdown Trey back. Ooh, yeah.
They got Parrish back from us too.
Yeah. Hey, Jackson Dart is for sure a dark horse. So
and you got what's his name back at Georgia, Carson back.
Yeah,
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel, I think, is a dark horse because he's at Oregon.
Dylan Gabriel really could do it, especially with the receivers that he has, Tez Johnson and dude from Texas A&M.
But you talking about Evan Stewart? But
yeah,
it's gonna be tough though. They're in the Big Ten now, so that might be a little tough.
Oh, they are in the Big Ten now.
It might be a little tough. Joe, we gotta wrap the show up, bro. You keep asking questions and we keep going on tangents. We can do this all night, bro. We gotta wrap the show up. We can see you in the chat, my boy. But I gotta wrap this up. So next Tuesday I will be dolo. I will be by myself. I'm just gonna go over the Big Ten because I was next in line. Unfortunately, I got to talk about MSU, so I had to eat a lot of crow that episode because I had MSU going 10-2. As Joe leaves another comment.
Oh, that was all heart right there.
Bro, I can't say what I was saying in the chat online, on airway. But yeah, it's not all the way my fault. We had a scandal out of nowhere. But
That's true.
Yeah, man. I'll see y'all next Tuesday.
I forgot y'all coach.
Bro, chill, bro, because I can't say it on airways. I can't say it on airways. But again, until next Tuesday, I'm gonna see y'all. We gone. Peace.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, And also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all at the next episode.